fight one more time.
From the pixel-perfect adventures of the 90s to today's stunning, story-rich masterpieces, isometric games have continually evolved while keeping their timeless charm intact. These titles blend strategic gameplay, immersive storytelling, and distinctive, angled perspectives that offer a unique view of worlds we explore. In this video, we're counting down the top 24 must-play single-player isometric games that were released between 1990 and 2025. A journey through classics that defined entire genres and modern hits that reinvent them for new generations. Whether you're into RPGs, action, or tactics, this list celebrates the very best of angled brilliance. Planescape Torment. Guys, if you've never played Planescape Torment, you're diving into one of the trippiest, most unforgettable RPGs ever. You start the game as the Nameless One, who is an immortal whose memory is completely wiped every time you die. So you wake up scarred, tattooed, and clueless. The world is the wild, interdimensional city of Sigil, plus all sorts of bizarre planes, where portals link to unimaginable realms, and weirdness is the norm. What makes this game special isn't loot or grinding, it's choices, conversations, and consequences. You don't always have to fight. Often, you can talk, persuade, or sneak your way out of danger. Companions you meet are strange, haunting, and memorable. A floating skull, talkative undead, plane hoppers, and every interaction feels heavy, loaded with philosophy, identity, and existential dread. Sure, by modern standards, the combat feels clunky, pathfinding is wonky, and inventory sucks. The engine shows its age. But once you get lost in its story and weirdness, Planescape doesn't feel like a game. It feels like a twisted novel you're playing. Baldur's Gate 2, Shadows of Amn. Okay, so Baldur's Gate 2 is basically the gold standard of old-school isometric CRPGs. You build a hero, or import from the first game, then lead a band of up to 6 characters through sprawling, dangerous lands. The story picks up after the events of the first game. Your party gets captured by the sinister mage Jean Erencius, and subjected to twisted experiments. That's where things go off the rails, and the real adventure starts. You escape to the gritty city of Athkatla and beyond, battling, scheming, questing. And it's not just a hack and slash. There's politics, moral choices, friendships, betrayals, romance, and consequences. The gameplay mixes real-time exploration with pause for tactics combat. Spells, stealth, sword and shield, diplomacy, you get to pick your flavor. This game lives for dialogue, party dynamics, choices, and consequences. Even after decades, it still beats a lot of modern RPGs at depth, character, and that old school my choices matter vibe. Fallout 2. If you want post-apocalyptic chaos with brutal freedom, Fallout 2 absolutely slaps. You play as the Chosen One, the descendant of the Vault Survivor, sent out to hunt down the mythical GECK, Garden of Eden Creation Unit, to save your drought-stricken village. The world is a radioactive wasteland where every decision, like from talking or sneaking to shooting limbs off bandits, changes your outcome. Combat is tactical and unforgiving, turn-based, isometric, and you can target specific body parts for brutal, dismembering realism. You'll roam ruined cities, radioactive deserts, mutant layers, and encounter morally gray factions. And your choices shape not just your fate, but the entire town's. This isn't a heroic fantasy, It's survival, grit, and sometimes downright cruelty. Perfect for those who like their RPGs with teeth.
What makes a true RPG? Shaping the attitudes and urges of a fallible psyche. Bruising the tissues of another world.
Disco Elysium. Imagine an RPG that isn't about swords or magic, but about soul, guilt, memory, and booze-fueled introspection. That's Disco Elysium for you. You wake up hungover, with no memory, a body you don't trust, and a city full of secrets. There's no traditional combat. Instead, you fight on the inside with your own psyche, choices, and wits. Conversations, investigations, and choices shape everything. How you see the world, what you become. Even whether you're the hero, villain, or something broken in between. The writing is razor sharp, the world is bleak and poetic, and every dialogue feels heavy with meaning. If you crave a game that's more about humanity than loot, more about loss and hope than stats, Disco Elysium is an emotional gut punch that stays with you way after you close the game.
When the screaming stops and your mind is gone, the rest, perhaps, is silence.
Baldur's Gate 3. Now, going into Baldur's Gate 3 feels like riding a CRPG wave with all modern bells and whistles, but the soul of Dungeons & Dragons remains strong. You build your own hero, or play a voice companion, get infected with a parasite that could doom you, and then embark on a sprawling journey through dangerous lands, political intrigue, and moral chaos. The game mixes real-time exploration with turn-based, party-based combat, dialogue, choices, dice rolls, world-impacting decisions. What you pick determines not just immediate outcomes, but the fate of companions, and even entire regions. The graphics are lush, the characters are alive, and the story is epic. Yet, underneath it all is classic D&D. Tough choices, brutal fights, camaraderie, betrayal, and moments that punch way above their weight. Baldur's Gate 3 delivers on nostalgia and reinvents what a modern CRPG can be. Divinity, Original Sin 2. Do you guys want old school RPG depth with modern polish? Divinity, Original Sin 2 is your ticket. You become a god-woken, wield dangerous source magic, and fight to crush monstrous void-woken threatening your world. The game blends isometric turn-based tactical combat with freedom to approach quests however you like. Be a diplomat, a sneak, a destroyer, or just create chaos. You can play solo with a full party or co-op, split the characters. But either way, every choice echoes through the narrative. Dialogue, alliances, betrayals, the weight of power, consequences. DOS 2 nails that feeling. It's brutally challenging, wildly flexible, and emotionally heavy. In a genre full of swords and spells, Original Sin 2 reminds you why CRPGs are about choice, not just combat.
I understand the trials ahead of you are great. You will have to find your own path. What will be the source of your power? The righteous might of heaven, or the secrets of forbidden magic?
Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. If you want old school D&D style party RPG with a modern twist, Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous pulls it off in style. Based on the tabletop universe of Pathfinder, it drops you into moral cancers, epic crusades, and end-of-the-world stakes, while still giving you that classic isometric RPG vibe. You build a character, or party, choose your path, and the consequences of your decisions ripple hard through the world. Story, companions, choices, combat, it's deep and unforgiving, but also full of heroic stakes and dark themes. If you ever thought D&D style games died with the 90s, Wrath of the Righteous proves they just got resurrected.
Huddled around a table, swapping tales and making grand plans for the future, completely unaware of the part they are to play in the events that are about to unfold.
Icewind Dale. Picture something classic D&D adventuring, heavy on combat and dungeon crawling, but with that crisp isometric old school charm. That's Icewind Dale. It's less about deep moral choices and more about exploring frozen wastelands, fighting hordes of monsters, looting dark dungeons, and surviving brutal wilderness. Party management, tactical fights, spells flying, morale on edge. Icewind Dale is for gamers who love that old school hardcore RPG grind. It's not always pretty, but there's satisfaction in every successful fight, every map cleared, every treasure found. If you want raw, no frills fantasy adventure the way games used to be made, this is your go-to. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire feels like a spiritual successor to classic Infinity Engine RPGs, but upgraded for modern tastes. In this one, you sail across islands, explore jungles and coastlines, hunt ancient gods, manage your crew, and make decisions that shape your world. Combat leans into party tactics and character builds, but storytelling and world building stay front and center. There's freedom, complexity, moral shades, and consequences. Deadfire serves that old school RPG hunger for exploration, character, and epic quests, without sacrificing quality of writing or sense of scale. If you want a modern isometric RPG that honors its roots but still feels fresh, this hits the sweet spot.
You may wield an iron fist, bend with sorcery, show mercy, or crush all who defy you.
Tyranny. So, this one is called Tyranny. This one flips the usual RPG script. Evil has already won. Gods rule, and you are part of that oppressive reality. Instead of saving the world, you navigate its collapse, make choices under tyranny, and decide what kind of monster, or survivor, you want to be. It's dark, morally twisted, and brutal, but brutally honest. The isometric view, party-based tactics, and deeply branching narratives let you mold your character's fate and the fate of those around you. Tyranny isn't about heroism. It's a grim, oppressive journey through power, compromise, and consequence. If you want a more cynical, heavy-hearted take on fantasy RPGs, Tyranny will stick with you. Arcanum of Steamworks and Magick Obscura. Alright everyone, if you want an RPG where magic and machines collide in a dirty, gritty world, Arcanum is one hell of a ride. You start as a survivor of a crashed airship in a world that's just hitting its steampunk industrial revolution. Humans, elves, dwarves, orcs, all with access to revolvers, zeppelins, and ancient spells. Build your hero however you like. Maybe a spellcasting elf, or a streetwise gun-toting half-ogre. The game doesn't force you down one path. You choose whether to talk, sneak, steal, or fight. Literally everything has multiple solutions. Combat toggles between real-time and turn-based depending on how you feel, and your choices around magic or technology affect how NPCs treat you, even which powers work for you. It's messy, imperfect, and unbalanced at times, but that's the charm. Arcanum isn't polished. It's raw, And if you embrace that, you get one sprawling, wild RPG that still stands out 2 decades later.
Greetings, stranger. I'm not surprised to see your kind here. Many adventurers have traveled this way since the recent troubles began.
Diablo II. If you're after hack and slash, loot fest, demon smashing mayhem, Diablo II is the OG. From the first swing of your sword to the last demon you burn in hell, this game nails that isometric action RPG formula like no other. You pick your class from Barbarian, Necromancer, Sorceress, whatever suits your mood, and you dive into dungeons crawling with undead, demons, monsters you can barely pronounce. Every kill, every drop, every piece of loot feels addicted. Leveling up feels meaningful. The world, the atmosphere, grim, gritty, and soaked in supernatural dread. Drags you in night after night. And even today, after countless knockoffs and inspired by Diablo games, nothing really matches the classic rhythm. Click to move, click to attack. Spells and curses flying, inventory bursting. That sweet one more run, bug that never leaves. Hades. So, Hades hits like a lightning bolt straight out of Olympus. You play as Zagreus, the rebellious son of Hades, trying to break out of the underworld and reach the surface. But every time you go down, death kicks you right back to the House of Hades. And then you run it again, stronger, smarter, with new upgrades. The combat is fast-paced, isometric hack and slash. You swing your weapon, dash around, toss magic, pick up boons from Olympian gods that totally change how you fight each run. Rooms, enemies, and rewards shuffle around every time, so no 2 escape attempts feel the same. What's wild is how the story unfolds through these repeated deaths. You meet gods, ghosts, mythical figures, build relationships, and every failed escape still moves the narrative forward. If you like your action razor fast, your difficulty punishing but fair, and your storytelling with blood, myth, and redemption, Hades delivers like a merciless pantheon. Shadowrun, Dragonfall. Now for something a little different. Shadowrun Dragonfall is a tactical cyberpunk meets Magick RPG that plays out on a grid, but feels as gritty and thoughtful as any old school RPG. You step into the shoes of a Shadowrunner, a mercenary in a dystopian future, and you get to build your character, join a team, and tackle missions with guns, spells, stealth, or whatever mix of badassery you want. Combat is turn-based and tactical. Every decision matters. Flank right, go loud, or sneak in. Your choices impact the story, your crew, and the world around you. The story mixes street-level grit, corporate conspiracies, magic, and even dragon politics. Weird combo, but it works. It isn't about saving the world. It's about survival, loyalty, betrayal, and the occasional moral pothole. For players craving RPG depth, sans high fantasy cliches, Shadowrun hits that sweet spot.
Tell them to get out of there! I don't like the sound of that! Jesus! What kind of thing are we dealing with here? Let me help you.
Wasteland 2. Guys, Wasteland 2 is like stepping into a brutal, broken post-apocalyptic world and being told, good luck. You lead a ragtag group of desert rangers, a band of survivors into a wasteland full of radiation, roving gangs, synth robots, and moral chaos. The game gives you full control. You'll build a team, up to 7 characters, pick their stats, skills, give them personality, and then you roam, scavenge, talk, shoot, or sneak, whatever feels right. Combat is turn-based and tactical, with weight to every decision. You can end up saving towns or leveling them, trusting survivors or playing lone wolf. And sometimes there's no good outcome, only survival. It's rough, unforgiving, and doesn't hold your hand. But that's what hit hard. If you want grim, gritty RPG where your choices literally determine who lives, who dies, and who becomes a monster, Wasteland 2 delivers.
Rogue traders, daring explorers who benefit from a unique style of freedom normally unheard of in the Imperium, with means to decide the fate of entire regions of
Warhammer 40k, Rogue Trader. So, Warhammer is wild. You become heir to a powerful Rogue Trader dynasty in the grimdark 40k galaxy. And you get a starship, a crew, and total freedom to travel the stars, trade, fight, conspire, and carve out your own legacy. The game is isometric and party crew based, mixing tactical turn-based combat with big decisions and character interactions. You pick and customize your crew, pick your moral compass, and you could be a ruthless space pirate or a so-called hero of the Empire. Combat and positioning matter, and the grim futuristic tone, bleak lore, and an empire-spanning ambitions make it stand out. It's not a light ride, it's thick with strategy, atmosphere, and the weight of grim choices. If you're down for space opera meets hardcore CRPG, Rogue Trader is one hell of a trip.
Many seek the lost secrets that lie at the heart of its ruins. Powerful magic, wielded only by the ancient masters of old.
Solasta, Crown of the Magister. Here's the one, Solasta, a game that feels like someone ported a tabletop RPG session directly to your screen. It's built on D&D style rules via the 5th edition, and you assemble a small party, pick their race, class, and backstory, and get ready to dive into dungeons, spells, traps, and tactical fights. Combat isn't flashy action, it's turn-based, strategic. Positioning matters, spells and light and darkness matter, and even a wrong move can get your party shredded. The world isn't grandiose, but there's a cozy charm in exploring ruined temples, deciding your path, and rolling dice for damage or for dialogue outcomes. The game handles it smoothly. If you love that crunchy roll the dice and hope for the best tabletop vibe with a modern video game polish, Solasta scratches that itch perfectly. Pathfinder, Kingmaker, Enhanced and Definitive Editions. If you're craving old school epic fantasy with kingdom building, Pathfinder Kingmaker is hard to beat. You start small, create a hero, assemble a party, wander through dangerous lands. But eventually, you can carve out your own realm, build a kingdom, manage your lands, and watch your choices echo across the world. The game is isometric, party-based, and deeply rooted in tabletop-style RPG mechanics. Combat mixes real-time exploration with tactical pause, or turn-based via mods and options. There's loot, classes, skills, and that classic your choices actually matter weight. It's not always smooth. Leveling up and decision trees can be wild, and some paths can end up messy. But when it clicks, Kingmaker gives you that sprawling fantasy saga, where you decide who rules, who falls, and who thrives. If you want a game with ambition, depth, and nostalgia, Kingmaker delivers.
The day has arrived. Calcedon must fall today, or we may lose Carter and whatever remains of his forces. That initial frontal assault should target the sentries on the bridge.
Expeditions, Rome. Alright, Expeditions Rome flips the script. No swords and dragons here. You get sandals, spears, and the weight of history. You play as a Roman legatus, whose father was murdered. and you get dragged into a world of politics, war, and empire building. Starting as a custom character, you gather a small legion, pick companions, and lead troops across Greece, Gaul, and North Africa, deciding the fate of entire peoples as you chase revenge, justice, or power. Combat is tactical and turn-based. There's also large-scale legion management, strategy, and choices that affect the Roman world. Whether you rule with an iron fist, or try diplomacy, build a reputation, or instill fear, the story weaves personal tragedy with grand historical ambition. And your decisions shape not just your character, but the fate of the Republic. Love it or hate it, Rome changes under your command.
Do you want to know how to survive out there? The truth is, you won't.
Tainted Grail, Conquest. If you dig roguelikes with a dark twist, Tainted Grail Conquest is pure gold. You start out stranded on a cursed island engulfed in creeping fog, and every run feels different. You pick a class, dive into procedurally generated zones, and face twisted threats lurking behind every gate. Combat is totally turn-based and card-driven. You build a deck like in a card game, manage resources, and plan carefully to counter enemy moves, because you can even see their next action ahead of time. Between runs, you can unlock permanent upgrades, new classes, and perks that carry over, so death never feels like a total loss. It's part of the challenge. The mix of grim lore, replayable runs, and card tactics makes Conquest an addictively brutal ride. Perfect for nights when you just want to dive in, survive as long as you can, and see how deep the darkness goes.
Dad said I wouldn't be here without that man's sacrifice.
You'll be safe out there, won't you?
You could always come with me, show me how things are done.
I know you say that, but... Well, where'd my old sword?
Wildermyth. Here's a gem, Wildermyth, which doesn't just give you tactical combat. It gives you stories that evolve. You lead a small band of heroes through changing maps and random events. The magic isn't just in fighting. It's in how the story and your characters change over time. Combat is turn-based and strategic. Yes, positioning, abilities, and tactics all matter. But what really hits is the way friendships form, betrayals happen, legends are born. Dynamic procedural storytelling makes each campaign feel unique. By the time the final battle looms, your group doesn't just feel like a party. They feel like a band of survivors you've lived with. It's perfect for players who love more than loot. If you crave emotional stakes plus tactical fights, Wildermyth nails that special mix. Coromon. If you ever wanted that nostalgic monster taming vibe with a modern polish, Coromon delivers it clean. You step into the world as a rookie battle researcher, and soon you're capturing, training, and battling with Coromon. Over 100 quirky creatures, each with traits, types, and unique moves. The world is fun and pixel art style, full of exploration, puzzles, and secrets. When you engage wild Coromon or rival trainers, combat switches to classic turn-based battles. Pick moves, manage stamina and energy, exploit elemental strengths. It's familiar but satisfying. As you build your squad, improve your team, and solve mysteries behind a creeping threat to the world, the mix of exploration, creature collecting, and tactical battles hits that sweet nostalgia spot. If you're a fan of monster collecting RPGs but craving a fresh world and indie charm, Coromon is a safe bet. Chained Echoes. Old school JRPG vibes done right, and that's Chained Echoes for you. You control a party of heroes, trek through a richly pixel art world, towns, dungeons, and wildlands. Enemies are visible on the map, no random encounter bullshit. so you decide when and how to fight. When battle starts, turn-based combat. Each character has their abilities, items, defensive stances, and a clever overdrive meter system that builds up power but risks overheating, so you must manage wisely. Party-based, character builds, nostalgic aesthetic, it nails the feel of classic 90s to 2000s JRPGs without feeling dated. It's got personality, atmosphere, and that cozy, just one more dungeon pull. If you grew up on old school JRPGs and still crave that rhythm, Chained Echoes is a love letter wrapped in pixel art and ambition. Sea of Stars. And then there's Sea of Stars, which is a gorgeous, heartfelt throwback to the golden era of JRPGs, but polished for modern times. You play as two solstice warriors, blessed by the powers of the sun and moon, and set out to fight monstrous dwellers. Explore vibrant islands, meet quirky townsfolk, and uncover a story that blends hope, adventure, and classic fantasy tropes. Combat is turn-based but with flair. Timing-based inputs, combo attacks, magic-infused strikes, and strategic use of elemental powers give fights weight and rhythm. Outside battles, you wander lush terrains, solve puzzles, dive into rich narrative arcs. It feels warm, nostalgic, and tuned to players who love story and exploration as much as combat. If you want a game that says classic JRPG while still feeling alive in 2025, Sea of Stars hits that sweet spot. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments which is your pick from this list. See you in the next video, and thanks for watching.
Only you can answer these questions. Only you can decide which path to take. The choice is yours, Crusader.